Hey everyone! And welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's as inspiring as it is intense. It's a tale of strength, resilience, and standing up for what's right, even in the toughest of environments. This is the story of a female Navy SEAL who reminded everyone that you ain't mess with the best. So, let's set the scene. Imagine an assembly of over 1,000 soldiers. The air is thick with discipline and the scent of polished boots. It's a typical day in the military, filled with drills, training, and the rigid hierarchy that defines armed forces across the world. In the middle of all this is our hero, a woman who had broken barriers to become one of the elite Navy SEAL. Becoming SEAL is one of the most grueling achievements on the planet. The training, known as BUD-S, or Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, pushes candidates to their absolute physical and mental limits. We're talking about Hell Week, a 5.5-day ordeal where recruits get about 4 hours of sleep in total. They face freezing cold water, endless physical exertion, and constant mental stress. It's designed to weed out anyone who isn't 100% committed, tough, and resilient. For a woman to not only attempt this, but to succeed and earn the coveted Trident pin is a testament to her extraordinary character and capabilities. She wasn't just a soldier. She was one of the sharpest, most capable warriors in the entire military. On this particular day, she was part of the large formation, standing shoulder to shoulder with her fellow soldiers. The commanding officer, a man we'll call Commander Miller, was addressing the troops. Miller had a reputation. He was known for his short temper and a leadership style that often crossed the line from strict to abusive. He believed in ruling by fear, a method that created a tense and often toxic environment. Many soldiers had felt the sting of his verbal tirades, but few dared to speak up against a man of his rank and influence. As Miller patrolled the lines, his eyes landed on our SEAL. For reasons known only to him, perhaps. He felt challenged by her presence. Or maybe he just needed a target for his frustration. He decided to make an example of her. He started with verbal insults, his voice cutting through the silence of the parade ground. He questioned her abilities, her place among the elite, using demeaning language in front of all her peers. She stood her ground, her face a mask of professionalism, refusing to give him the reaction he seemed to crave. This only seemed to infuriate him more. In a shocking and completely unacceptable breach of conduct, his verbal abuse escalated to physical violence. In front of 1,000 witnesses, Commander Miller drew back his hand and struck her across the face. A collective gasp rippled through the ranks. Time seemed to slow down. Striking any soldier is a serious offense, but to do so in such a public and demeaning way was unthinkable. For a moment, there was just stunned silence. The commander stood there, a smirk on his face, as if he'd just proven a point. He expected her to crumble, to be intimidated. He forgot who he was dealing with. He forgot she was a Navy SEAL. What happened next became the stuff of legend. Her training, her instincts, her entire being, forged in the crucible of BUD-S, took over. She didn't hesitate. It wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about survival and self-defense. A response drilled into her through countless hours of hand-to-hand combat training. In a fluid, lightning-fast motion, she blocked any potential follow-up, parried his stance, and delivered a single, perfectly executed strike. It wasn't a wild swing. It was a precise, calculated blow, aimed to neutralize a threat. The commander, who clearly underestimated her, saw it coming a fraction of a second too late. The impact was clean and decisive. He crumpled to the ground, unconscious before he even hit the deck. For a second, the entire parade ground was frozen. 1,000 soldiers stared in disbelief, first at their fallen commander, then at the female SEAL standing over him, composed and ready, her stance unwavering. The only sound was the wind. The message was clear. She was not a victim. She was a warrior. The silence was finally broken by the senior non-commissioned officers rushing forward. But they weren't rushing to restrain her. They were rushing to handle the situation, to secure the unconscious commander and restore order. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. But one thing was certain. The power dynamic had irrevocably shifted. Of course, an incident like this couldn't just be swept under the rug. A full investigation was launched immediately. Hitting a superior officer is a major offense in the military, Regardless of the circumstances, our hero found herself in a precarious legal position. The top brass was involved, and the situation was incredibly sensitive. But she had 1,000 witnesses. Soldier after soldier was interviewed, and their testimonies painted a clear and consistent picture. They described Commander Miller's history of verbal abuse, his unprovoked aggression, and the fact that he struck her first. They testified that her response was defensive, instantaneous, and professional. It wasn't a brawl. It was a trained operator neutralizing a direct physical threat. Her own testimony was calm and factual. She explained that her training taught her to react decisively to an attack. When the commander struck her, she perceived it as a direct assault and responded as she had been trained to, using the minimum force necessary to end the threat. She wasn't an angry soldier lashing out. She was a SEAL, operating with muscle memory honed by the most elite training program in the world. The investigation concluded what everyone who witnessed it already knew. The commander was the aggressor. He had committed a serious crime by assaulting a subordinate. Her actions, while extreme, were deemed a justifiable act of self-defense. Under the circumstances, the fallout was significant. Commander Miller was stripped of his command, faced a court-martial, and was dishonorably discharged from the military. His career, built on intimidation, ended in disgrace on that parade ground. His legacy became a cautionary tale about the abuse of power. And what about our hero? Her case was reviewed at the highest levels. While some in the old guard were uncomfortable with the precedent, the evidence was overwhelming. The charges against her were dropped. Not only that, but her actions sent a powerful message throughout the armed forces. It was a clear signal that abuse and misconduct would not be tolerated, no matter the rank. She became a symbol of courage, not just for women in the military, but for anyone who has ever faced a bully in a position of power. She had stood up for herself, and in doing so, had stood up for countless others who were afraid to. She demonstrated that true strength isn't about rank or shouting the loudest. It's about integrity, skill, and the courage to do what's right. Her story was whispered in barracks and training halls, a modern-day legend of a warrior who reminded a commander, and the world, to never, ever forget who she was. A United States Navy SEAL. This story is a powerful reminder that respect is earned, not demanded, and that true leaders inspire. They don't intimidate. It is a testament to the incredible strength and character of the men and women who serve in the most elite units on Earth. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We love sharing these incredible stories of courage and resilience with you. See you next time.